Hello and welcome to another episode of Fast Talkers, the show where I pick plenty of people who know a lot about Formula One and we have a chat about what's happened this week. I'm delighted to say we have a wonderful panel of guests for you today. We have, first up, Motorsport 101's Dre Harrison. Dre, you have a lot of shirts in the background. Where's the Vettel one?
It's behind my enormous head. You can see it there. You go. So probably for the best I cover it, given the way his season's played out so far. So I thought that was like somewhat tactical, to almost like hide it out of shame for the last 2 weeks. But no, hi guys. Yeah, I'm Dre Harrison. You probably don't know me all that well, but if you've been watching a lot of F1 content on YouTube, you might have stumbled across some of the stuff that I've put out recently regarding diversity in Formula One. And yeah, I'm a part of the Motorsport 101 podcast, a show that we self-proclaim is from all walks of life, by all walks of life. And yeah, here I am. I still think I've gotten lost somewhere. Like I'm surrounded by actual journalists and whatnot. I feel like I'm still lost, but here I am. So I'm going to take full advantage of the next half hour and see if I can settle in. But
You'll be fine.
Jen.
You'll be fine. Next up, welcome Mervi Kallio, MTV3 from Finland, presenter, reporter, one of my pit lane buddies. Are you missing the pit lane and being in the paddock, Mervi?
Definitely, I am, and I'm missing you all, guys. I mean, it has been totally different for me as well, since I couldn't travel to the track and circuit, and we've been doing and covering the programs now from the studio in Helsinki. So it's totally different, but I can't wait to get on the paddock.
And one man who will be winging his way towards the paddock very shortly, as in this evening, is Sandor Maszaros, who's from Autosport and Formula Magazine. He's the F1 correspondent and is based in Hungary, but not the bit of Hungary that the race is in. So you've got testing to go through for COVID. How far have you got to travel to get to the track?
It's 200 kilometers from my home, but I'm a countryside boy. It's for me, it's better to stay here in the calm environment and focusing on Formula One. For sure, it can be sometimes a problem to traveling from here to the Budapest airport when we are traveling to races fly away. But you know, I carry on the flame of the countryside boys, and I try to do my very best. And I'm a bit afraid for the COVID test via nose.
Yeah, I've not had it yet. All the reports are it's okay, but it's not something you'd want to do regularly.
Everyone said the same. Tomorrow, maybe I can explain a bit more that how it works.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll know all about it by then. Of course, it is the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend, the whole of the paddock making its way towards Budapest. We will talk about that shortly. But first of all, we have to talk about, I suppose, Mercedes. Don't worry, Dre, we'll talk about Ferrari in a minute, but let's start with Mercedes. They seem to be in great form at the moment. First win was Bottas, second win went to Hamilton. And on that subject, Mervi, I wanted to come to you because it sounds like Bottas could be close to getting that contract that he wants for next year to stay at Mercedes.
Yeah, a lot of rumors, and also Toto Wolff has said that they are happy with the boys they are having now, yeah, that's most important, that they have the dynamic and they have the mindset together to do things in the same way and continue with the same boys. And what I've heard is that both they have agreed already to continue with Valtteri, which is a good news for us Finns for next year as well. But nothing has been signed yet. So it's agreed, but not actually signed, because of course it takes some time. Now we have, after this Hungarian Grand Prix, we have 1 week off. So maybe after that, they sit down together, go through all the details and sign the contract. And then we can breathe and relax and enjoy the season, because then Valtteri will be with Mercedes next season, and he was amazing on the first weekend and seemed to be well balanced at the moment, so why not?
Dre, when it comes to Valtteri Bottas, do you think he can put together a charge for the title this year?
I want it to happen. I really do. I think Valtteri doesn't get a lot of the same appreciation that a lot of the other guys in the elite seats in Formula One get. I think a lot of that is fan culture. I know there's a lot of excitement about George Russell in the Williams team, who's also part of the Mercedes Academy. And there's a lot of fans that are itching to see him in better machinery than Williams. I mean, it's hard not to, given that they are one of the bottom-ranked teams in the field. But Valtteri has had a knack of starting seasons very well. He's leading the championship now after 2 races. He hasn't really put a foot wrong since the season began. The only even minor issue was that qualifying session we had on Saturday, and that was more Hamilton putting together one of the great qualifying laps of recent times, more than Bottas really, underperforming, I guess you could say. Again, won the Austrian Grand Prix comfortably, was again pretty, drove very well to get second this past weekend as well. Valtteri's had a knack of starting seasons well. I think he's a very underrated qualifier as well. I think he actually had more pole positions than Lewis had last season, if I remember correctly. But he needs to put this together over an entire season. He starts very well. I think he tends to fade a little bit as the seasons go on towards the autumn and winter months. I think his form starts to fall off a little bit. I think once Lewis gets going, I think he's very, very hard to stop. But realistically speaking, I don't think there's going to be a threat from someone else in another car this year. So I think it's fair to pin a lot of our hopes on Valtteri for this season. If you're going to have any title threat for Lewis at all, it's probably going to come from Valtteri. So fingers crossed that he can keep this going, because if he limits the mistakes, takes advantage of what he can get, there's no reason why he can't challenge for the championship this year.
Sandor, I mean, Bottas has tried to challenge in the past. There are other people on the way up. Do you think he's a safe pair of hands when it comes to Mercedes, when it comes to keeping Lewis happy as well?
In my opinion, the chemistry is working perfectly at Mercedes. The competition is on a very healthy level. Valtteri is determined so much to make Lewis' life a bit harder. And to be honest, I had the chance to follow his progress since GP3, and he was always a very determined guy, and he always tried to reach his targets. And we are in that crucial 4th year between the two guys. This is their 4th year together. And just going back to what Mervi said and what Andre said, I just remember in 2016, Nico Rosberg signed the contract in Budapest with Mercedes. Then he won the championship, and then he retired from racing. So would you like to have the same scenario, Mervi, to have Valtteri?
Definitely. But as you said, that he's really, he's always been really chasing for his targets. He has a high targets, and of course, and the only target is to win the championship. He has the hardest guy to beat on the paddock at the moment, of course, but Nico Rosberg did it once, so why not? And now he seems to be like, everything is also on the civil life, everything is like really like well balanced. He seemed to be happy, and of course that also helps when chasing the world championship.
And what I saw on him is that he never did a harder preparation for a season like this year. He did everything on one card and do the very best to win the championship. And I think we have to agree with Andre that he had a very, very huge pressure on his shoulders, as he is the only one who can do it. And we will see. Fingers crossed for him.
Yeah, of course.
Dre, what do you think?
Yeah, just to follow up on that as well, quick. Like, if from a team standpoint, if you're Mercedes, you have no reason to split this team up. You have the best driver in the world on one seat, and even if you're more negative towards how good you think Valtteri is, at worst, he's an excellent cleanup guy. He'll still win you 3 to 5 races a year. Lewis isn't going to have 20 flawless races over a calendar season. He's still more than good enough to pick up a few wins. He'll get you over 300 points a year. He'll get you 2nd or 3rd in the championship, most likely. And for Mercedes, from a team standpoint, you haven't really got a reason to drop him for someone like a George Russell or someone else in the midfield. The dynamic of the team is excellent. There isn't a threat from another team right now, so why change what's already working for you?
Talking about threats from other teams, This should be interesting. Ferrari. It's not really gone to plan for them. Yes, okay. First race, Charles Leclerc manages to bag himself a load of points of finishing second. I still can't work out how he managed to do that with the Ferrari as it is at the moment, but good on him. Second race, certainly didn't go to plan. I just wanted to whip round all of you quickly and find out, do you agree that Leclerc was the one in the wrong, or like the stewards rule, do you think it's a racing incident 50-50? Let's go Sandor first.
He said that it was entirely his fault, so I don't have a reason to question his statement. They are not in an easy situation, to be honest. And normally I am not too popular among the Hungarian fans when I am a bit harsh with Ferrari. But in the past few weeks, I always said that they are like a good chef who is in a kitchen, and they had all the ingredients to make, let's say, a proper goulash, but they try to make a fantastic sushi from that ingredient. They have fantastic drivers. They have a fantastic technical director in Mattia Binotto, but he is not in the wrong place. As a technical director, he was fantastic, but with a team manager or a team principal, I don't want to say anything about that. So all the key ingredients are there, but the chef is trying to make a sushi instead of a goulash. So not an easy situation.
Dre, from the shirt, obviously you're a Vettel fan. Are you a wider Ferrari fan as well, or is this bad times in general?
It is bad times in general. Full disclosure, yes, I am a Sebastian Vettel fan. He is my favourite driver, has been since 2009. And yes, I am a greater Ferrari fan in general. Michael Schumacher was my first love, being only 27. So I got into the sport late 90s, early 2000s. So Michael was the guy for me. So no, look, like Sandor was pretty much on the money. It's racing incidents happen like that at turn 3, and sometimes it's unfortunate. I think the greater message where alarm bells should be ringing, Ferrari didn't have a car in the top 8 at any session this past weekend. That is alarming to me. And Ferrari, this is a team that won, that even they weren't amazing last year, they still won 3 Grand Prix. And they have got no sign whatsoever that they're going to win a Grand Prix this year. They're probably going to go winless. Regarding the incident itself, I mean, Charles fully owned it. I applaud him for fully owning it. That's a rare thing you see in motorsport these days. Racing drivers' excuses are well known, but Charles completely owned it, and it's hard to argue against that. You're never going to win a race on lap 1, but you sure as heck can lose one on lap 1, and you're never going to make 4 wide going into turn 3 work. He should have seen that his teammate was always going to close the door on the apex, and he's gone over the curb, and he's taken both cars out of the race. And they were running a new floor upgrade as well, and they've got no running of that new upgrade now as a result of that incident. That's probably going to compromise them even further going into Hungary. Sandor's on the money. I think the structure of the team is not right. I think Mattia Binotto has said is a fantastic technical director. The Ferraris we had in 2017 and 18 were excellent cars. I mean, it's easy to forget that Sebastian Vettel was leading the championship for the vast majority of those seasons. They had something that you could say, hey, maybe if they can close out the year, they've got something here. But last year, the management of their drivers was questionable. We saw incidents like Spain and China where they couldn't decide when to pull the trigger on team orders. Sochi was an unmitigated disaster from a driver management standpoint. They couldn't seem to agree on which car should be in front. And Vettel ignored said team orders, and of course Brazil infamously for that collision as well. So it seems like there's fundamental problems across the board with not only the car but the way they're managing their drivers. And the Sebastian Vettel issue has been well documented. I'm probably not going to get into it now because we know a lot about the situation there, but there's a lot of question marks about the way this team is composed right now, and I don't think there's going to be any quick fix.
Mervi, you stood alongside me on the other side of the pen many a time and looked into the eyes of Sebastian Vettel and of Charles Leclerc. What can you read from the situation, from their body language, from the way that the team's acting, from the way Mattia Binotto is acting?
I was just saying after when I saw the interview of the both guys, Charles and Sebastian, after the race. Of course, it was. I was thinking like, what did Charles think on that moment when he went inside? I don't know, or tried to pass Sebastian Vettel, but I don't know. And of course, he apologized it, and it was totally his fault. But then when Sebastian first came into the pen and I saw the interview, he's usually like really. He's angry, and you can easily tell his emotions. Whatever it's a good thing or bad thing, you can tell his emotions. He was totally calm. He was like, he didn't react at all with his, but he was like, another race, like nothing would have happened. So that's also a sign that there's no flame for Ferrari to drive. Of course, he's a professional driver, and he will. I think he will finish the season, even though there are rumors that maybe he wouldn't even finish the season. I think he will, but you can tell that there's the passion for the racing. Of course, it might be there, but maybe not passion for racing for Ferrari because of the dynamics in the team. And so there's many things going on, and you can tell that it's like something is missing. The flame is missing, and maybe it's been not being a right leader for the team. And of course, then everything starts when everything goes so badly. I mean, winter testing, everyone was saying, and we could expect that they are not maybe as strong as they used to be, but maybe nobody thought about that they would be this bad. And
that's the thing for me. I was surprised to see just how bad they are. Yes, you can expect them to be a bit off the pace of Mercedes around the Red Bull, but to be in a proper midfield battle, I found surprising and disappointing. And we all want Ferrari to come to the game because we want the game to be as good as it can be. And I think it's damaging for the sport as a whole if a team like Ferrari can't turn up with the very best when they've got to drive a lineup, which is, it's still a fabulous lineup. There's still a lot of talent in that lineup. And they can't provide them with everything they need, whether it's the team culture, whether it's the car, whether it's, the politics of it all. But how damaging do you think the whole incident with the FIA, Dre, was last year with the fuel flow and that coming away from the car? I mean, it looks to have put that car back a long way on the grid. Yeah,
I mean, the way it's looking right now, I mean, I've looked at the speed trap data. They're stone dead last. And this is a team that last year had the reputation that it had maybe the very best power units amongst the field. And let's not forget, last season, there was a block where Charles Leclerc had 4 consecutive pole positions, and he won the pole trophy last year in total with 8. So it just adds more fuel to the fire, to pardon the pun, regarding the fact that in the off-season there was many a rumbling as to what was going on with Ferrari and its power unit. And obviously they're never going to reveal exactly what happened, because Bottas said last week that it would damage their intellectual property if they are ever to reveal exactly what was going on. And I don't want to entertain too many tinfoil hat theories at the moment, but I do find it a little bit alarming that Ferrari, who had arguably the best power units in the sport towards the end of last year, have come into this season now with the slowest cars in a straight line, and a car that's so aerodynamically inefficient it was losing as much as 6 miles an hour to the Mercedes on a straight line. And that's going to do them in no matter which circuit you're at. And Austria is a power track, but there's many, many more on the calendar that's going to be coming up. If you've got that big a top speed deficit, you are going to suffer. There is no doubt about that. And yeah, it does just, like I said, it just adds fuel to the fire that something was going on with their power units last year that we did not know about. And I can completely understand why 7 of the other teams came together with a statement to the FIA and said, look, what's going on here? Like, they were all kept in the dark. They had no idea what was going on. It seems like there was some sort of handshake agreement between Ferrari and the FIA in the back that, again, we just don't know about, and we're just expected to sit here as fans, media, consumers, and just go, oh, that's all right then. That's been resolved.
Yeah.
We've got nothing to question here whatsoever. It's the nothing to it's the nothing to see here gif on Twitter all over again, and the damage is there for all to see. I mean, I saw the speed traps again in FP2 when it was in the dry on Friday. Ferrari's cars were both at the bottom, and 4 of the bottom 5 were on Ferrari power units. I think that includes the Haas drivers that are in there as well. So
it's certainly
alarming.
painful, isn't it, for them at the moment? Sandor, you've been covering the sport, I think, for the longest out of all of us. Early 2000s.
Yes.
Is this the sorriest time you've personally witnessed for Ferrari? And what do you think needs to be done?
I think it's absolutely sure. This is the lowest point what I've ever seen from Scuderia Ferrari. What to do? I think they have to change completely the philosophy behind the team. So they have to rethink that who can be the leader, who can be a good leader, who will take which position in the team. Now we know the driver lineup for next year, as Carlos Sainz is joining to Charles Leclerc, which will be, I think, a very healthy pairing. So at this moment, I say for the future, the only thing which is right is the driver pairing. And the rest is a big question mark. What to do? I think sometime soon we can expect an intervention from John Elkann and Luis Camilleri, because soon this will be a huge damage for the whole brand, which is one of the most expensive brand in the whole world. So they have to. I think they have a lot of sleepless nights in these days. What to do? And for me, the main problem is that I think all the key ingredients are there. Just how they put it together, it's absolutely a catastrophe at this moment. We will see. I'm really interested in how will they try to solve this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We are fast running out of time. These shows go ever so quickly. So I want to move on to the next race. 2 done. How many more to go? We don't really know. We've had 2 more races confirmed, another in Italy and then on to Russia. So what I want to ask you, and we'll start off with Sandor again, because this is your home race. Yes. How much under threat do you think the race was at a time? I mean, F1 went very quickly to say, no, we're not doing 3 races in Austria. We are going to Hungary as planned. But there was obviously a lot of rumour going around the paddock.
But it was, I don't want to use any vulgar words. There was absolutely no truth in the rumors, first of all. The problem was a very small thing that Hungary openly said that we have restrictions, and just like in all over the world, if you have restrictions, you will have punishment. And the government openly said that this is the punishment. And it was some, how to say, it was some trick in that, because they explained only the highest amount of money fine, and that we will imprisonment people who so this was ridiculous, to be honest. When I first heard it, it was come from a tabloid newspaper in the UK, first of all, but
yeah.
And there was absolutely no truth in it. You know, we did Formula One in the last 34 years. I think we show a very good example how a country can accept Formula One in a friendly and nice way. Everyone just had a chat with Nelson Piquet a few days ago about the very first Hungarian Grand Prix. And you know, Hungary, at that time, it was a dark country behind the Iron Curtain. And he said that people, even at that time, were very open, very welcoming, and very friendly. So I don't know, this was a crazy thing in the brain of some guys, and they started to make it as a rumor, but there was absolutely no truth in that they doesn't even consider to stay in Austria for a third race.
Tell you what, we love coming to Hungary. Budapest is one of the best cities we go to all season, and the circuit is a thing of joy. I love going there every single year because the smell of the food cooking just below the commentary boxes, you feel like you're in the heart of the city, even though you're kind of next to a water park some way out of the city. But it's a fantastic place to go. Dre, who does Hungary suit? Who are we thinking is going to have a good weekend? Presumably not Ferrari.
I presume nothing regarding Ferrari right now. Well, again, the best reference point is last year. Well, and last year was a race where Max Verstappen was unlucky not to win that race. It was his first career pole position there last year. Again, run an alternate strategy compared to Hamilton and very nearly was able to pull it off. The track, the fact it is a shorter circuit, limited overtaking opportunities, very technical. A lot of medium speed corners. I think Red Bull could stand to do quite well here. It would not surprise me to see Verstappen up there, giving Hamilton more of a fight than what we saw this past weekend, given it's less of a power circuit, more of a technical circuit, more strength in the chassis that are involved in the cars, and I think Red Bull could be up there. I think Verstappen could walk into this track as maybe not favourite, but certainly the biggest contender to maybe upset the Mercedes and with Bottas and Hamilton up there. I would argue.
Mervi, what do you think? Red Bull could challenge this weekend?
They will be stronger than they were probably last weekend in Austria. But this suits better for them. Probably. We'll see. Of course, we hope that Valtteri can keep his leading on the World Championship. But I have to say, Sandor, this is a home race for you, but it's also a home race for Finnish people because
it's a Hungaro-Finnish Grand Prix. That's how because it's a Hungaro-Finnish Grand Prix because many Finnish people are coming to Hungary for the Grand Prix. The Finnish drivers always consider it as a home Grand Prix, and they are our home boys in the history. So that's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of Finns always past the history we have been coming to Hungary for the Grand Prix, and it's kind of a home race for us as long as we haven't had the own Grand Prix yet, even though we now have the new circuit. But let's see, maybe in the future. But even Valtteri said that it's a home Grand Prix for him, and he hopes for the best from the next weekend's race. Of course, now there are no Finns on the track because we can't have anyone there, but which is a bit pity. But I think Mercedes is going to be strong next weekend as well. They seem to dominate this season as well, which is a bit pity in case Red Bull can't really fight against them because it's not. We want to see racing, right?
Yeah, and I have to say the midfield battle, I think, the last couple of weeks, but certainly last weekend in Austria was fabulous. And I just wanted each of you to pick out who you think is a star of the future or who's really kind of tickled your fancy, as we'd say in England, when it comes to that midfield driver battle. Who stood out for you, Mervi?
I have to say Lando Norris, amazing 2 weekends. I mean, and even he said himself, like, he can't stop smiling. He's just so happy. He never thought anything like this would, I mean, this is a good reason to think and reminder for all of us, never give up, as he said. Like, the start of the season has been amazing. And also if you think about Carlos Sainz going to Ferrari next season, and Lando has been really strong compared to Sainz as well, even though he has been doing a good job as well.
Dre, short answer from you?
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Lando Norris is absolutely box office. Again, 2 ridiculous final laps in the 2 races we've had so far. But I don't want to be boring and just say Lando. Esteban Ocon, I think, also deserves a lot of credit for the Styrian Grand Prix. I think he would have been up there challenging for 5th place in his own right if it wasn't for a technical problem in the Renault car. And very, very impressive in a wet qualifying session as well, to out-qualify an established elite-level driver in Daniel Ricciardo. So I think Esteban Ocon needs a bit more credit but yeah, it's kind of Lando. Yeah.
The guy said everything what I think. I just want to add that these guys are the perfect proof. What I always say is that the level of competition from the driver's point of view was never been higher in Formula One.
Absolutely.
I think this is absolutely, even people normally are so nostalgic and say that, oh, in the past everything was better, but I think that's not true. What we see is the history, and we see the future in front of us, and this is very good. The level of competition and the quality of drivers is the highest we ever seen.
Guys, we're out of time. Thank you so much. There's so many things I wanted to talk to you about, but that is it. So thank you to Sandor, to Mervi, to Dre, and we'll see you soon for another Fast Talkers. Let's hope Hungary's another cracking race. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you very much.